In this video, we're going to study the properties of rectangles. Recall that rectangles is a special form of parallelogram. Therefore, it carries all the characteristics of parallelogram. That means the opposite sides are congruent as well as parallel. The opposite angles are congruent. Consecutive angles are supplementary, and the diagonals bisect each other. That's what we discussed from the last unit. For rectangles, there are two additional properties that are unique to them. First one is all four angles are right angles. You know this already. Second one is that the diagonals not only bisect each other, they are also congruent to each other. Okay, so with these 6 properties, let's see how we can use them to help us solve these problems. We already know all of these quadrilaterals are rectangle. That's given. Therefore, QR in this case has to be 10 because QR and PS are congruent. SR and PQ has to be congruent at 24. SQ is more challenging. There's no information given about the diagonals. However, let's look at this. If we have a rectangle, we know that the angles must be 90 degrees. Therefore, I've got a right triangle right there at SPQ. And so SQ is the hypotenuse. So hypotenuse squared should equal 10 squared plus 24 squared. That's 100 plus 576, I think. So check my math. You should have 676 as x squared. Now, if you take a square root of 676, that should come out to be 26. If SQ is 26, PR must be congruent to SQ, so that's 26 as well. Now, if the whole thing is 26, remember they bisect each other. The diagonals bisect each other. T would be called the midpoint, so TQ or QT is half of SQ at 13. Okay? So just to recap, you need to borrow the concept that this is a right angle. Therefore, we have a right triangle, and you can use Pythagorean theorem whenever that's convenient for you. So let's look at example 2. If I'm asked to find AC, this time AE is given, and E is the midpoint, so AC is twice as long at 30. If AC is 30, BD has to be 30 because they are congruent. BE is this half, right? So if I know BD is 30, this half has to be 15 as well. Also notice that we've got an isosceles triangle there. In fact, we've got 4 isosceles triangle in the rectangle, right? Now AB has to be congruent to DC, so that would be 27. And here we go. We don't have BC. We do not have BC. I'm going to call this X. However, I know one leg. I also know the hypotenuse. The hypotenuse BD is 30. So 30 squared should equal 27 squared plus X squared. And let me see. That would be, I think, 171 equals X squared. And it's approximately 13.1 if you use your calculators. Okay? Let's look at number 3. Number 3 is all about angles. So let's see. We're asked to find angle MJK. MJK is right here, and that would be a 90 degrees angle. And MJL is this portion, right? MJL is this portion. If this whole thing is 90 degrees and here is 27, so this should be 90 90 degrees minus 27 should give you 63 degrees. And if this is 63 degrees, we're asked to find JLK, which is the angle here. Remember, these two sides, opposite sides are parallel. Opposite sides are parallel, and therefore these two angles are alternate interior angles, and they should be congruent. And KML is right here. And KML should be congruent to JKM because they're alternate interior angles, right? Remember earlier we said that we've got a isosceles triangle here because the diagonals are not only congruent, they also bisect each other. So JN is congruent to NK. And if these two sides are congruent, these two angles are congruent. So that angle has to be 27 degrees. Finally, MNL. If this is 27 degrees, the interior, ultimate interior angle is 27 here. If this is 27 degrees, this one has to be 27 degrees as well, because again, these two sides are congruent to each other. And so the calculation for this big angle in the middle is 180 minus 27 minus 27 again, and that should give us 126 degrees. 180 minus 54 is 126 degrees. Number 4, here we have this angle here is 64, so we know this has to be ZVY has to be 64. Let's find XWY. XWY is here. So again, look at this triangle WVX. If these two are the same, and so which means 2x plus 64 should equal 180 degrees. If you solve for x should come out to be 58 degrees. So that's 58 degrees. And then next is YXZ. YXZ. So it's this one here. That would be simply 90 degrees of WXY minus this 58 degrees that we just found. It should give us 32 degrees. And next one is WVZ. WVZ, which is, I'm going to use a green one, maybe more obvious. So it's right where this green dot is, right? So this, remember that, look at this angle where the green dot is, and this 64 degree forms a straight line. So that's 180 degrees. Therefore, it's 180 minus 32 degrees. And I should have 150, 140. I'm sorry, I made a mistake there. Not 34, not 32 degrees, minus 64 degrees. Because that's 64 degrees is complementary to the green dot. So I should have 116 degrees. Now XWZ, that's easy, 90 degrees. XZY should be, again, these are parallel lines. These two are alternate interior angles. And if this angle is 58 degrees, XZY should be 58 degrees. Okay? Last problem on this sheet, we've got both angles and sides. I'm going to leave you with the exercise. You should pause the video and I will give you the answers on this, and you can come back and get the answers once you complete this practice. And here are the answers.